Good morning, Dreamhouse Nation. James Lewis of TDH. Joining us from Diamond Rio is Marty Roe. Marty, thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely. Good to talk to you.
We are excited because Ohio is lucky. They don't just get one time with you, they get two times because Friday, January 6th, Taft Theater, Cincinnati, Ohio, and then Saturday, January 7th, Mansfield, Ohio. Oh my gosh, that is phenomenal. They are excited. Why are you excited about coming to Ohio?
Yeah, well, first of all, both of them are relatively close to my hometown where I grew up. I grew up in Lebanon, Ohio, and our bass player, Dana, grew up in the Dayton area. And then, so we're excited to, I've never played the Taft. I've been to Mansfield there in that show, but I played Cincinnati. A lot of different venues, outdoor and indoor, but never played Taft. And it's famous, and beautiful theater. I've seen pictures of it for a long time, but we're looking forward to doing that show. And I assume I'll see most of my hometown folks. That's only like 29 miles from Lebanon, and then be up in Mansfield the next night.
Awesome. Yeah, I was going to say, growing up there in Lebanon with the trains must have been phenomenal.
Yes. Absolutely. With the what? Trains?
Trains, yeah. Lebanon has trains.
Yeah, they had a train.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, shoot.
It goes from Lebanon to Mason.
Yep. I took my boy on that not too long ago. It's nice.
Yeah. It's a beautiful town and very historic. I mean, the Golden Lamb is there, and there's lots of history. Growing up, I just played football, basketball, and ran track, and some music and whatever. And it was a great town to grow up in. As a matter of fact, Woody Harrelson and I graduated high school together there, and he became real famous, and I started singing. So there you go.
It's worked out for both of you.
I guess so. But, like the people who are not from that area don't really realize just how, at least rural it used to be. I mean, I grew up on a farm. My dad was a school teacher. We had a little farm, grew corn, some hogs, and my senior year, every senior year, you had a tractor day, and all the seniors who had a tractor, which was all of them, drove their tractors to school.
Wow, so that was a real thing.
I grew up in. Yeah, and so when people ask me, man, how'd you get into country music from Ohio? I said, you just don't know Southern Ohio, buddy. But yes, it's very popular there, and the people are salt of the earth, and I couldn't have picked a better place to be born and raised, that's for sure.
That is awesome. Now, I was going to say, I know it is a bit of a long story, so obviously we'll abbreviate it. But how Diamond Rio got started because of Opryland.
Yes, I moved to Nashville in '79, and by '81 or '82, I guess, I started singing. I was in college, but to pay for school, I was actually playing music, which was kind of weird. But so I got a job playing a show in Opryland. In '84, I got into this band, which had another show called Tennessee River Boys, and we were more of a self-contained. We were a self-contained band at the time, different members than now, but did Star Search and lost to the first round, but lots of struggling through the '80s. But we're recording, we're writing, we're trying to get ourselves noticed in downtown Nashville at Music Row. We left the park and we got a record deal in '90, actually in '89. In '90, we worked all year for a new label called Arista. Changed the name when the single came out. The single was a song called Meet in the Middle. Went to #1, blew all of our minds, stayed there for a whole month or more. And my life's been a little different since then. I don't have to want for work, and all my bandmates and I were able to spend 30-plus years together and still out there loving what we do.
So is it fair to say that the core band has been together since '89?
Yes, that's exactly right, until this year. And I had two of my bandmates retire. Brian Prout, our drummer, at age 67, decided that he was going to get off the road, and so he did. It was not something we really wanted to happen, but we applauded him. I mean, what else can you say? I said, it's not that weird. 67, you're going to retire. I mean, people do it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was honored that he was able to do it. We had set up some 401ks and things that he was able to do that. And then Gene lost his wife in August, and he decided, and he had been basically not work. We had a sub for him while he dealt with that. She dealt with that for a year. And he, bless his heart, at 73, decided that he had enough of work at our pace anyway. But I think he'll go out and play some bluegrass. He's just so talented. But both were, not something that we really had foresaw. But it's we never foresaw doing this for almost 35 years now, dude. So there's a lot of new territory for us as we grow a little older. But the good news is, man, with the internet and YouTube and all the streaming, whatever, and 90s country having such a resurgence, we've been blessed to be able to go do what we love and what we were blessed to do. I mean, we have made a pretty decent mark for about 16 or 17 years there, and a lot of folks, and it's so refreshing. We see young people, teenagers, singing every one of our songs, and that's wasn't something that really happened a lot 25 years ago, and it's a new phenomenon, but we enjoy doing that, and we still go out and work. So it's 4 of my bandmates, Jimmy and Dana and Dan and I, along with 2 very talented young people, Micah Schweinsberg on drums and Carson McKee on mandolin and plays fiddle, and she sings. This little 23-year-old girl. So talk about some young people giving these old guys a kick in the butt. They do it.
Nice. So it's probably fair to say that the best place to find Diamond Rio stories is the autobiography "Beautiful Mess," the story of Diamond Rio. But could you share?
Yeah, a good portion of it. I mean, there's about 10 more years added on to that since we put that out. But yeah.
Nice. Could you share a story that's post that book?
Well, I just did share 2. We had 2 bandmates retire, and
Okay,
went
that
through
works.
that.
Yeah.
And COVID was a traumatic but interesting, some epiphanies for all of us, just how blessed we've been. And we really enjoy what we do, but you work hard like we do, doing 70 to 80 shows a year. You can get jaded and take it for granted a little bit, and we sure don't do that now. It reinvigorated us. It sure did me. It caused me to really appreciate and realize that I was not ready to retire, and it was not healthy for me. And so I said, you know what? I'm fortunate to get to still do this, and so I would say that we have a kind of a renewed excitement and refreshed show. We plan to deliver. I mean, we're blessed to have over 30 top 20 records and whatever 20 something. You know it better than I do. Top 10s, lots of number ones, sell millions of records, blah blah blah.
Oh
And
gosh,
people
yeah, the
still
stats are
want to
amazing.
come people still want to come and hear our music, and they enjoy it, and it represents a enjoyable, good memory of a part of their life to a lot of folks, and newfound music to so many young people. So, man, it's hard to complain.
Definitely. I think our listeners need to check out that book because I think they need to hear the Lee Greenwood story. Obviously, not going to do that one today, but that is an awesome story. Loved hearing that one. Now, you've had so many awards. Is it fair to say that the Minnie Pearlman Humanitarian Award is one of your favorites?
Yes, absolutely. And having been known Miss Cannon for many, many years, and blessed to do lots of shows with her, perform on stage with her, I would say at least 50 or 60 times I've done that, not counting the Opry. And talking to her, and her, not me just knowing her, but her actually knowing my name, walk up to me and say, Marty, how you doing today? Blah, blah, blah. what an incredible place to be, and to know who she was as a lady here in Nashville, outside of Minnie, was a surprise for us. We always wanted to give back, and it's amazing. All we do is draw attention to something, and all of our corporate friends and just fans with some money and willingness to helped us do a golf tournament for nearly 20 years. And then Jimmy and I ran a marathon for a decade, and I couldn't do that no more. My knees and hips wouldn't hang, buddy. But he still runs. And for Big Brothers Big Sisters was a big part of it. But that stuff that's a joy. It really is. And we decided, you get pulled many, many ways, and we decided to focus on just one or two things that we were genuinely passionate about, had a connection to, and throw all of our whatever influence we could have into those things. And when that award came, my goodness, it sits on my piano. The other trophies are in a case, but out on the piano in the middle of the room is the Minnie Pearl Award.
Nice.
So there you go.
Awesome. And then, it's fair to say that your music has changed and evolved from, of course, that first self-titled album to recently with I Made It.
Yeah, I would hope so. That's all the same players on every bit of that. No changes in that in our recordings, and I would hope that we learn and we've gotten better through the years. And I hear people say that to us after shows. He goes, "Man, y'all sounded better than you ever have." And my off-the-cuff comment is, "Well, we've had a lot of practice." But yes, and you know what? That's intentional. Push ourselves to try different things, listen to what's going on currently a little bit, and try to keep true to who we are, but record things that are current. Have something that current people might relate to, because that's the world we're living into.
What I really like is how you stay true to yourself by doing the recording sessions yourselves, because I understand that in country music, there are a lot of times when other people do the recordings, but I understand that you all have bucked that trend and are one of the very few bands to do that.
Yeah, and that was we didn't get a couple record deals because we kind of stuck to that and said, no, this is a unique thing. There's a lot of great players on that A team in Nashville that play on most all records, and in popular music, it's true too that some producer produces a track, finds a voice, and puts it on there, and it works, and it makes great music, but it's not our definition of what a band is. A band is unique from the drums up, and that's how we've dealt with it, and we intend to do that. We're not going to quit now.
Exactly. Heck, I understand that A-Team, had to reach out to your guy to learn how to play that fancy mandolin.
Absolutely, and Gene Johnson, absolutely, and Jimmy Olander. He's had a list of Hall of Fame rock and roll and country guitar players. Call him up and get lessons. That's a fact.
That is awesome. Well, we are excited about Friday, January 6th at the Taft Theater, Saturday, January 7th at the Mansfield, Ohio. So, two great shows that our listeners should definitely check out. Before we let you go, Marty, where on social media, where on the web, where should they look for Diamond Rio?
Well, they can go to diamondrio.com, and the list is right there. All the Facebook. I'm not a big guy in that, but it's all right there. All the little icons. As far as I know, that's what. If it isn't, I've got to fire somebody.
Awesome. Well, it has been a pleasure having you on the show and meeting you today.
Yes, absolutely, James. I hope maybe you get to come to the show, but definitely hope your listeners come, and I know these places aren't real big, so I guess better get your tickets soon.
Appliance Factory and Mattress Kingdom has products in stock and available to take home today. With 5 stores and almost 40 years in business, they are Ohio's appliance experts, and they help you to get the right product at the right price with a huge inventory. You can save 30 to 60% every day on everything from Bosch and Viking to LG, GE, and KitchenAid at unbeatable savings and in stock. Plus, Mattress Kingdom inside Appliance Factory has everything from Tempur-Pedic and Sealy, Stearns & Foster, and Dream Cloud mattresses in stock. Stop by any one of Appliance Factory and Mattress Kingdom's 5 Ohio locations today or visit online at appliancefactory.com.
Good morning, Dreamhouse Nation. James Lewis of TDH joining us today on the show from the PBR is Carlos Garcia. Carlos, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, James. Looking forward to talking.
We are excited because you have the big events coming up in Lexington, the Lexington Invitational, Friday night, January 6th, 8 p.m. Oh my gosh, it's going to be phenomenal. It's the Pendleton Whiskey Velocity Tour at Rupp Arena. And then, of course, the next night right back there, still the Lexington Invitational Tour, January 7th, 7 p.m., Pendleton Whiskey Velocity Tour, Rupp Arena. I mean, it's an iconic venue. It's kind of weird to see, normally it's people playing basketball there, but you're going to be riding 1,000-pound, 2,000-pound bulls. I mean, just something different for our fans to check out.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, what an iconic venue. I've had a 20-year career in bull riding, and Rupp Arena has actually always been one of my favorite events. It's a great show, from the pyros to the modern day gladiator theme of riding bulls, and the crowd is always excellent. We packed house.
Now, I don't want to ruin it for the fans, but I love talking about it because I'm going to anyway. How you walk through the fire at the beginning, that intro, oh my gosh, we saw you all a couple years back, I want to say up in Dayton, Ohio, and how it had, it was like a superhero thing almost.
Yeah, it's really cool. And for us bull riders, they say, well, what gets you going and stuff? Just being in the locker room and the camaraderie that, because it's pretty much a big family that go up and down. We travel to, some of the biggest cities across the country every single weekend. And that really gets our blood flowing, being able to come out and with such a great intro. And it really sets the mood off right for 40 guys competing per night, and a great show to be had.
Exactly. It is a phenomenal experience. We've enjoyed it in the past. We're looking forward to it. I'm excited about this upcoming weekend. So where is the best place to buy the tickets?
Well, you can tickets start at $15, and they can be purchased online at Ticketmaster or PBR.com. And you can also get them at the Rupp Arena box office as well.
Nice. Now, of course, for the fans that are just diehard fans, there are all levels of tickets available. It's not just the 15, but heck, I understand. I think you all are the ones that if they spend a certain amount, they can go into the ring, into that cage in the middle of the ring to be able to just be a part of the action.
Yeah, so there's a shark cage out in the middle, and like you said, there's all levels of tickets. You can be right up front next to the buck and shoots and get to see each individual bull loaded in the buck and shoots, or if you're a little nervous of being close to the arena panels, then you can be a little bit further up and feel a little safer. Either way, no matter what seat you have, it'll be a great show, and I promise you won't miss any of the action. Exactly.
There's not a bad seat in the house, and then, of course, the other thing to get you going is you all play some really awesome music during the show.
Yep. Like I said, it's bull riding, the PBR tour and the Velocity tour and expansion tour. It's not your classic rodeo. It's like I said, 40 of the top bull riders with actually a bull team event going on as well. So it's 40 of the best bulls in the country. And the music, it's modern day jam up atmosphere. It'll be intense. It'll keep you on the edge of your seat, and you might want to stay in some of it too.
So, funny story about the bulls. One of the times I was prepping for this, we were going to have someone on the show, and they're like, yeah, you can have the bulls on. And I'm like, what? And they meant the owners of the bulls. But it sounded like they wanted me to interview the actual bulls. And I'm like, yeah, that's not going to work. But they were like, no, the breeders and stuff, and they can tell you the behind. And I'm like, oh, that sounds awesome to learn the details. But yeah. At the time, it sounded like they were wanting me to to actually interview a bull, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to get much out of that unless it's Scottie Pippen or somebody.
Yeah, right. Out of the Chicago Bulls for sure. Yeah, they're stock contractors, and they have a competition too. And like I said, they bring some of their best animal athletes that they have, because we got to remember, this isn't your average farm animal. These are 20, 30 years of breeding genetics to that we have some of the best rodeo athletes in the world that we compete against. And, you know, in the professional sport of professional bull riding, we're not really necessarily competing against our brothers in the locker room. We got to ride that bull for 8 seconds first and get a qualified ride. So our main competition is to be able to compete and make the qualified 8 seconds to get a score to advance on to the next round.
Exactly. Yeah. Because looking from the outside, looking in, you're right. You know, a lot of people think, yeah, you're competing against the other riders, but yeah, you're right. That bull, that's the challenge. That's the thing that's in front of you, and you have to conquer that first to, like you said, to be eligible for the championship round. So that is phenomenal. How did you get started into bull riding?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a different story for me. I am actually from the East Coast. I grew up in upstate New York, up near Canada, and so it wasn't really prevalent. The Western world and rodeo wasn't really prevalent up there a whole lot. Ironically, the last year's PBR world champion was Dalen Swearingen, and he was out of Pifford, New York. And his dad actually had a rodeo company that I grew up going to his high school rodeos and some of his semi-professional rodeos that he put on. So I learned a lot there, and really just started with me and my cousins getting on some dairy cattle, and we thought it was really fun. Watched the movie 8 Seconds with Lane Frost and the Tough Edelman story with Luke Perry in it, and decided I wanted to make that my dream. And with a good support system, and definitely been some bumps in the road, here I am 20 years later, and wouldn't trade it for the world.
So did you ever do any mutton busting?
I did not. Like I said, out in the Western world, you know, they usually start in tiers. You'll start with as a young kid with mutton busting, and then they'll go to the steer riding, and then they'll go to the junior bulls. You know, up in upstate New York, we didn't really know much. You know, I grew up with a lot of Amish friends and family, and we just kind of jumped on some dairy calves in the pasture. And the first one I ever got on, I was probably 10 years old, and it was probably a 1,400-pound brown Swiss bull. This wasn't when there was like genetics through bucking bulls, and I just got on him, got stepped on my first time actually too. All it was just a good little bruise, but I thought that was real cool too. Unfortunately, didn't know what the rest of my career would behold as far as injuries go, but like I said, I wouldn't trade it for the world. And I've met so many good people across the country, and was able to travel to 40 out of the 50 states by the time I was 22 years old. So a lot of great memories, and bull riding has come leaps and bounds in the past 2 decades of bull riding. I've been around for a long time and seen it advance, and like you said, nowadays when you're coming to one of these shows, you've got you've got the pyro. I don't want to spoil it either, but you got pyros, you got some great music, and it'll keep you on the edge of your seat the whole time.
So is it fair to say that you were self-taught when it comes to bull riding?
Pretty well. I had some mentors in my career. I graduated when I was 17. I went to college in Oklahoma, you know, especially an East Coast person not knowing much about rodeo. I said, I guess I got to go out west. Well, I went out and I college rodeoed, and it served its purpose, and wouldn't trade it for the world. But when I came back, I actually moved back to the East Coast, and I moved down to Archdale, North Carolina, where a previous world champion bull rider, Jerome Davis, lives. And he was actually paralyzed and still is in the bull riding world, raises bucking bulls now as one of the contractors. And he was a role model and a mentor for over a dozen of us younger kids when we were growing up. And that's when my career really took off. He taught me the basic mechanics of bull riding, encouraged me in all the ways that I needed to be learned and taught, and really helped me out. I wouldn't be where I'm at today if it wasn't for Jerome. And so, yeah, but you know, there's a basic mechanics of bull riding bulls, just like in horse jumping or anything else. There's a basic mechanics, but I'm not only an older guy in the locker room, I'm also 6'1" and 185 pounds. So the average bull rider is about 5'6" or 7 and 120 pounds soaking wet. So I'm a little bit bigger than your average guy too. So just like in anything, we all have to create our own, and, you know, in a sense, our own mechanics of it. And so I took a lot of the greats of the past world champions of Justin McBride and Jerome Davis and all them, and I kind of just took a little bit from each one and just created what works for me.
So, with your numerous injuries, how much of your body is your original and how much has been replaced?
Well, there's been several injuries. I've actually had several myself that were pretty serious injuries, but praise the Lord, the only severe injury that required metal was I shattered my humerus bone, is what the doctor said. I said, I don't think it's too humerus, and that's your upper bone that goes from your shoulder to your elbow. And it was on my free arm, and I shattered it. I didn't snap it, I shattered it. And so I actually had to have 2 reconstructive surgeries on it over the years. And the first time was 2 plates and 22 screws, and then 3 years down the road, the plate snapped. So now I have pretty much what you'd call pretty much a bar and 8 bolts that hold it in place. But you would look at my arm and you wouldn't never notice it. The medical advancements are just as advanced as the bull riding has come, and wouldn't be where we're at today without them for sure. So, when we get that Arctic blast that just came through and stuff, it puts a little damper on my arm. But other than that, I'm still able to do daily activities and stuff like that. But like I said, I've been really blessed. And like I said, our role model, Jerome Davis, he was paralyzed and he was a world champion. So, it's the most dangerous sport in the world by far, hands down. And you really got to love it. It's the way of life. It's something I've had 20-year career in. And like I said, I don't regret anything that I've ever done, and wouldn't have it no other way. But it's definitely dangerous. And by the time you've done it for as long as I have, if a cowboy tells you that they're not nervous, I'm 20-year pro, and I'd have to tell you they'd be lying to you, because there's always a sense of nerves that are going through your body. The more experience you get, the better you're able to channel those nerves and use it for fuel for the battle out in the arena.
Definitely. I mean, it's one of those things that take a passion, a commitment. It's like you said, it's a lifestyle. It's not just something you pick up on the weekends. It's not a weekend warrior kind of thing. It sounds like it's a life.
Yep, absolutely. For the younger generation and stuff, I always encourage them to always follow your dreams and just tell them hard work and dedication, you can achieve anything. But with that being said, too, I always tell the younger generation that wants to ride bulls that it's not something that you would consider a hobby and might want to do for a hobby. If somebody's going to want to do it, then they should go all out for it, because all it takes is one time and just one freak accident to happen, and it could change your life forever. So I always encourage people to follow their dreams, but I encourage them that if they're wanting to be a professional bull rider for a living, then they better go all in.
So in 2022, you had 3 really strong finishes, 3 top 15 finishes across all levels of competition. What do you attribute that success to?
Like with bull riders, there's been a lot of change. Your average bull rider back in the day was just a cowboy that come off the range and spent their time in a saddle and stuff a lot. And then as bull riding's advanced and the PBR has been an iconic body for the sport of bull riding, now you see a lot more like your professional basketball players and your professional baseball and football players. A lot of these younger kids, they put full days in the gym, sometimes 2 a days, because there's muscles that you wouldn't ordinarily use when you're riding bulls. And so the exercise programs and what the PBR has done to help us with that, with the Sports Performance Center in Pueblo, Colorado and stuff, has really helped our bodies and the longevity of our careers. And I'm getting old, so I had a wise friend told me that had a 20-year career and was in the first PBR World Finals in its inception in the 90s. And he told me, once you cross 30 years old, Carlos, you're going to have to at least be doing yoga every day. So I contribute to a lot of stretching, trying to maintain body strength and physical limberness, if you will, because we have to be catty in a sense to be able to dance with these bulls for 8 seconds at a time and be able to get out of the arena good. The dismount's just as important as your ride. And so I contributed to getting older and dedicating my time to my physical shape, to my prior year's success from back when I was young. It wasn't a thing to have an accident or a wreck and wake up the next morning and not feel it. After I turned 30 years old, in which I'm now 34, it'd be 2 days later before I realized that I wasn't sore anymore.
Exactly. Time does fly, and like you said, I mean, shoot, it catches us all at some point. We are really excited about this weekend, Lexington, Kentucky, the Lexington Invitational. I mean, it's going to be a great event both nights, so people can come out and not just enjoy one night of bull riding, but 2 nights. Where on social media, where on the web, where can they find out more about PBR and you?
Yeah, I have an Instagram on social media, Carlos N. Garcia, and then the PBR, of course. And you, like you said, Friday, January 6th at 8 p.m. and Saturday, January 7th at 7 p.m. at the Rupp Arena, one of my favorite venues. And you can get your tickets. Again, they start at $15, and you can purchase them online at Ticketmaster or PBR.com, or you can get them at the Rupp Arena box office. And as far as wanting to learn more about bull riding and the PBR and the show that if you come out and you're about to watch, you can go to PBR.com and you can find out a lot about the standings, some of your competitors that will be there this weekend, some of the bulls that will be there, and all the way up to their world finals that they have in the team format that was just in its inception last year. So there's a lot to know and stuff. And if you don't have time to look it up, if you was to come out either night, I'm sure you'll be informed there and you won't regret the time that you spend.
Sounds great, Carlos. It has been a pleasure having you on the show today.
I appreciate having me, James, and have a good day. Look forward to seeing everybody.
Appliance Factory in Mattress Kingdom has products in stock and available to take home today. With 5 stores and almost 40 years in business, they are Ohio's appliance experts, and they help you to get the right product at the right price with a huge inventory. You can save 30 to 60% every day on everything from Bosch and Viking to LG, GE, and KitchenAid at unbeatable savings and in stock. Plus, Mattress Kingdom inside Appliance Factory has everything from Tempur-Pedic and Sealy, Stearns & Foster, and DreamCloud mattresses in stock. Stop by any one of Appliance Factory and Mattress Kingdom's 5 Ohio locations today or visit online at appliancefactory.com.
Good morning, Dreamhouse Nation. James Lewis of TDH. Joining us from Cavalcade Customs is Larry Way. But before we get to Larry, we're going to give out our email address because our listeners love it when we give out our email address. That means we're giving out prizes. And of course, our email address is dreamhousenation@gmail.com. That's dreamhousenation@gmail.com. Write in to win tickets because Larry has been kind enough to give us some tickets that we can give out as prizes. Larry, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having us. We appreciate it. We always get great support from the media in Cincinnati, and we really appreciate it.
Now, with an event like this, I want to yell Sunday, 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 but you know what? The great thing about you guys is it's not just Sunday. We got Friday the 13th, Saturday the 14th, and Sunday the 15th at Duke Energy Center. So, I mean, there's all kinds of opportunities to come on down and experience Cavalcade Customs.
We've been around for 63 years, and O'Reilly Auto Parts is our presenting sponsor. Just before we get started, people can go to any of your local O'Reilly Auto Parts stores and get discount tickets. Now, if you're going for a ticket, it might not be worth it, to go out of your way. But for a family of 4 or 2 or 4, it's worth getting the tickets because we're taking advantage of the discount.
Plus, when you're there, there's all kinds of great stuff that you need for your car. I mean, with obviously how the weather's been going, there's probably stuff to get that de-ice and all that stuff. So, oh yeah, there's never a bad time to go to O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Yeah, exactly right. They're the title sponsor of most of our shows across the United States. So we're very fortunate to have them. We have another great show lined up. We have so many. We're on 2 floors. We're on the main floor, plus we're on a 3rd floor in the ballroom. Where our celebrity stages will be. We also have the championship finals. We're part of the Summit Racing Equipment Show Car Series, where vehicles will go from show to show. They show at 3 or 4 shows, and they'll qualify to be part of the championship finals for the top 20 finalists, which will be at this show as well. So in addition to the normal Cavalcade Customs, which has cars, trucks, and motorcycles, and vans, and race cars, and whatever have you, we have the championship finals, the top 20 show cars from North America. So that's and it's a shootout. So it's a big deal to have that in addition to the normal show. So and we promote family entertainment. We have live music. There's a pinup girl contest. We have featured celebrities. You can spend an entire day there. So there was a time when it was more male oriented. We had bikini contests and these kind of things. But that went away many, many years ago. And we've past 20 years or 15 to 20 years, we've really been trying to promote family entertainment. So mom and dad and the kids can come.
That is awesome. That's why we're having you on the show. You're one of those companies that give families something to do on the weekends, an activity for them to bond over, and just, I mean, a great experience, like you said. I mean, you could be there for hours, if not the whole day, in experiencing Cavalcade Customs.
We have a cross-section of different celebrities. We have from Street Outlaws, which any of the car guys that most anybody with an automotive interest watches Street Outlaws. It's street racing. It's not really, but it is. It is racing on the street, but it's television. So we have Jeff Lutz. Jeff has been very involved in drag racing his whole life. He builds race cars. He's been on the cover of Hot Rod magazine for years and several times, and we have him all weekend long with one of his race cars. So that's a big deal. Friday night we have Catherine Bach, who played Daisy Duke, and Tom Wolpott, who played Luke Duke on the Dukes of Hazzard TV show. And we have them from 5 to 9. Now, the Dukes, that goes back to the 80s. But the Dukes, the real Dukes fans and their kids and their kids and the grandkids, they're all Dukes fans. I mean, it's not a cult, but my goodness, they'll be lined up forever for Catherine and Tom. And it's really a big deal, and they're very gracious. They'll be there signing autographs. Tom's also a performer. He has CDs, and it's a great thing. And on Friday and Saturday, from Happy Days, we have Henry Winkler, the Fonz. So Henry is on Barry right now, and I think Barry's in their 6th season. He's never stopped working. He could have rode the Fonz thing, and we all know him as the Fonz, but he's done so many other things, and he had done a lot of comedy. And Friday, Saturday, and also Sunday, we have from American Graffiti and Laverne and Shirley, Cindy Williams, and from American Graffiti and One Day at a Time, Mackenzie Phillips. And on Sunday, from 1 to 4, we have John Moxley, the AEW wrestling. Now he's the world champion, AEW champion for Sunday from 1 to 4. So we have something for the Dukes fans, wrestling fans, car fans, and those. I mean, Happy Days are still on TV. I mean, One Day at a Time, and these shows are still on TV. People still see them in reruns. So it's really a real cross-section, in addition to the hundreds of cars and trucks and vans and whatever we have, motorcycles.
Definitely. So it sounds like you have something for everybody. My only concern is you don't have a big enough building, because Moxley being a hometown guy here in Cincinnati,
He's a
Ohio.
local guy.
Oh yeah. So the fans will come out in drones to see him. I mean, he is just iconic around here. I mean, he is kind of taking that beloved sports spot that Pete Rose and Johnny Bench and them had back in the day, or Anthony Munoz. Well, of course, Anthony still got his spot. But yeah, Moxley is definitely one of those iconic performers. So, I mean, and then you mentioned all the other talent, Dukes of Hazzard, Happy Days, just, I mean, all kinds of great legends that are going to be there. Now, the important question is, how much are tickets?
Okay. Tickets at the door are, for adults, are $23. Children, 6 to 12, $8, and 5 and under are free. But there's discount tickets at all local O'Reilly Auto Parts stores. We also have, now, as you probably remember, as I have, the Zingers. What the Zingers were these cars that were 1/3 size cars with full-size engines in them. And they were on covers of magazines, and they showed and showed and showed. They've been around for 50 years. So there's a dune buggy and a Volkswagen Beetle and a dragster and a Corvette. And these are really odd-looking things. Now, whether you remember them or not, and we've had them at some shows, and people come up and say, "What the heck is this? Does it ever look cool?" And they may not remember the Zingers, but when they see them, it's a great attraction. So we have 6 of the original Zingers. So there's just we have a pinup girl contest on Friday at 5, which I really love this, because a girl can be a size 2 or a size 10. It doesn't matter. They'll spend all day getting themselves ready, and it's like a 50s, 60s. And you would think that most of these women that compete in this would be, baby boomers, or maybe women in their 40s. No, it's young people. There's a whole group that love this whole thing, and these girls will spend all day getting ready, in their 50s and 60s garb, and the hair and the makeup from that era. It's really pretty cool thing. So there's lots going on. As I say, you can spend an entire day.
Sounds awesome. And then I understand on Friday there's a student career day.
What this is, that we started this a number of years ago, and we contacted schools, and so the kids will come, the students will come before the show opens. So they'll, and we'll have traditionally half a dozen speakers. Now, you remember when you were in high school and you listen to some guy talk, and after about a minute or two, your mind's starting to wander. But so we try to have our speakers not talk too long to try and keep the students interested. And then they get to go on the show floor before the public arrives. And then they can also come back as part of that. They can also come back. They'll get a wristband. I don't know what they'll use this year, whether it be a wristband probably. They can come back on Friday night if they want, free of charge, so when the show opens to the public. So it's a big deal for us, and we do it in most of our cities. And it's really, yeah, if you're a student and if you're in an automotive program, obviously you have an interest in cars. So it's fun to go. Plus, you get a day off school. You get a day off school to go to a car show. I mean, what a deal! I mean, if you have an automotive interest, I'm a baby boomer. I mean, that's heaven. I mean, because all of us guys, had a car interest.
Oh, definitely. So, how can the Dreamhouse Nation enter their vehicle into the contest?
Well, go online. I go to Autorama.com, and there'll be a list of the shows. Click on Cincinnati. And they'll give you and you can see entry form, and you'll get a name and number. Now, the show is probably full. But that being said, more often than not, some people don't come. So you could call the show chairman. His number will be there. Fill out an entry form, call him, say, listen, we're interested in coming, and there's a good chance you can get in.
And then, I mean, there's just all kinds of great things going on during the weekend. I mean, it's just one heck of an experience.
It really is. I'm a car guy, and those of us that work in this business, whichever, we're all car people. So we understand. I was a judging supervisor in Cincinnati for many, many years before I started doing public relations and celebrity work. So I really like those of us that judge like the Cincinnati show because there's 3 shops that turn out beautiful work. I mean, the 3 painters. There's it's really the paint. The overall, I would say, how could I say this without insulting all the other shows, but the overall paint of the cars, the colors, and the artwork and so on that they do, overall is better than any show in the country because of the painters you have. This is a really cool show. So it's fun for those of us that know cars and understand cars that we come and look. And for the public, when they come in, they say, wow. They see the shiny chrome and all these things, but the quality of the work is really something. You've got some great people in your area that do this. So it's a wonderful show. In fact, I have a room in my house that I have a die-cast cars, and I have 3 motorcycle half tanks. What that is, it looks like a motorcycle gas tank. It's fiberglass that's cut in half, and they custom paint these. And I have 3 of them in there, and they come from the Cincinnati show, from one of the painters from the Cincinnati show. So it's a very impressive car show. So you think, wow, and the quality, is terrific. So you would think, some of us would think, you go to California or Texas, they don't have, real harsh winters and things like that. So they probably have a better quality, car shows. They don't. This Cincinnati Cavalcade Customs, the O'Reilly Cavalcade Customs, is as good as any show in the entire country, and it's large because we're on 2 floors. So it's really a big deal. It's really a big deal for us, and the media has been good to us. We always have live TV, and it's wonderful. We're just hoping that a zillion people show up.
So when is the best time to show up? When's the best time to experience it? I mean, obviously you have 3 days to choose from. Is there a time that's usually more family friendly?
No, not really, because what it is, a lot of it has to do with the celebrities. So there's a lot. Most people will factor in their visit as to when the celebrities will be there. Now, the Fonz and Cindy Williams and Mackenzie Phillips will be there all weekend, throughout the weekend, as will Jeff Lutz. And you can go to Autorama.com, click on Cincinnati, and you can see the times that they're there. But they're there most of the time, so people will do that. Or if they want to see John Moxley, they'll come Sunday morning. What we do for we'll use John Moxley as an example, and Catherine and Tom Wolpott from the Dukes. It used to be you try and get there as soon as you can to get in line, and you wait for 2 hours and so on. What we're doing, we'll hand out probably 250 wristbands. So you come up, and then you'll say, okay, you're on. He goes on at 1, so we give out 50 wristbands from 1 to 1:30, or whatever that number would be, and then 1:30 to 2. So you can go there and you can get a wristband. So you can go and enjoy the show, and you come back at 2 o'clock or 2:30, whatever time, so you don't have to wait in line for hours. For Henry and Cindy Williams and Mackenzie and Jeff Lutz, they're there throughout the weekend. So, you can just go up to them. That won't be necessary. But when we have a celebrity that's there for a certain time, we do that so people don't have to stand in line. And one of our guys from our team, I wish that was my idea. It's a great idea.
Oh, it is. That's phenomenal.
It's a fantastic idea because you don't have, and people these wrestling fans are so loyal. John Moxley, it's going to be huge. They're so loyal to their wrestlers. They would stand, they'll come early and they'll zoom up there to make sure they get a wristband. And then they'll go and they can goof around at the show, look at everything and come back and get your autograph during that time period when they're on stage and your registered time period, which is much better for everybody, actually.
That is awesome. So, Larry, before we let you go, where is the best place to find out more information about Cavalcade Customs?
Just the best place is to go to Autorama.com. You go to WorldOfWheels.com, Autorama.com, and our page will come up. Click on Cincinnati, and all the information is there.
That is awesome. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much, James. We appreciate everything that you people do for us, and thanks, everybody. Hope you all win tickets, and look forward to seeing you at Cavalcade Customs.
Appliance Factory in Mattress Kingdom has products in stock and available to take home today. With 5 stores and almost 40 years in business, they are Ohio's appliance experts, and they help you to get the right product at the right price with a huge inventory. You can save 30 to 60% every day on everything from Bosch and Viking to LG, GE, and KitchenAid at unbeatable savings and in stock. Plus, Mattress Kingdom inside Appliance Factory has everything from Tempur-Pedic and Sealy, Stearns & Foster, and DreamCloud mattresses in stock. Stop by any one of Appliance Factory and Mattress Kingdom's 5 Ohio locations today, or visit online at appliancefactory.com.
Good morning, Dreamhouse Nation. James Lewis of TDH. Joining us today is the artist, Sean B. We are excited about having Sean on the show because we're going to talk up Winter Jam. And we don't just have one Winter Jam to talk up for our listeners. We have 2 because, of course, our listeners, we have Cincinnati, Ohio, and we have Columbus, Ohio. So we are extra excited. The fans in Cincinnati get the first dibs on the 20th at Heritage Bank Center, and the fans in Columbus get it on the 28th at Schottenstein Center. So we are excited for both those events. Sean, why are you excited for Winter Jam?
Man, there are just too many reasons, man. Winter Jam has been a concert that I followed since I was a kid, and it's just every year they come back, and they come back so strong, and the lineups that they bring are insane. You can just tell there's a lot of planning, and ultimately there's a lot of passion that goes into planning this event. And so just the opportunity to be involved in something that that has inspired me for my whole life, now getting to be a part of that has just been, kind of a dream come true almost. It's just been incredible.
Are you sure it's just not another one of those get rich schemes, one of those festivals that are there to make tons of money? Because after all, they do charge hundreds, if not thousands of dollars per ticket.
Yeah, they got a steep price point at $15 a ticket for that whole lineup. I understand, it can be asking a little bit much.
Exactly. Nowadays, you can't even buy a CD for that. Yeah. You
can't, and that's just another thing that shows their heart behind it. They truly are outreach event hearted, and I think that's just another thing why God's continued to bless them is because they've had that servant heart the whole time they've operated, and I think that's another great thing as well.
I agree with you. Organizations like that have great messages, great voices that they're sharing with the the public. It's just phenomenal that, shoot, my only complaint is maybe the tour could be even longer and go to more states, but, shoot, that's nickel and diming it on that one. Oh, speaking of long, how long is Winter Jam? Because I understand for your $15, you get a lot of content.
Yeah, I believe it runs about a 3.5 hour concert that whole time. From start to finish, you're looking at about 3.5 hours. And so it is an experience, like people need to come ready to have an experience there because it's going to be fun.
Now, of course, we're the Dream House Nation. We want to know how they can join the Jam Nation.
Yeah, so the best way to do that is to go online to winterjamtour.com and click on Jam Nation. And the cool thing about being a part of Jam Nation is you get just all of these extra features where it's like you still go to the concert, but you have like early access and just different perks and things like that, just that will help make that experience of an even more fun experience. So you get the full concert, but then you get all the behind the scenes stuff and everything like that. And so it's definitely, if there's artists on that lineup that you really like or that you're looking up to right now, it's definitely worth it to check out Jam Nation on winterjamtour.com.
So I understand it's also important to be there early because seats are first come, first serve.
Yep. I hear, and I do remember, right, because we did this, back when I would go. People will be there early, get there in the morning and just make a day out of it. People bringing their lawn chairs and sitting in line, waiting for stuff to open because it is tickets at the door. Now, that is another advantage to signing up for Jam Nation is if you sign up for Jam Nation, you get your ticket in advance and you have that early access into the arena. And so, if you don't want to wait in line all day, Jam Nation is a great way to go.
That is awesome. That definitely sounds like the way to go. Now, of course, you're part of the lineup, but who's the rest of the lineup?
Oh, man, we have an incredible lineup. We have, We the Kingdom, who is just on a rocket ride right now. We have Jeremy Camp, who I've listened to for so long. Andy Mineo, a guy in Christian hip-hop that I've really just been inspired by. You have Ann Wilson, Austin French, Disciple. There's just some really good people on this lineup. And then obviously in the pre-jam, you have myself, Renee, and Thrive Worship. And so I think get there early, get there when the doors open because you don't even want to miss pre-jam. There's great from start to finish. You don't want to miss any of it.
It sounds like it's going to be a great event. So how did you get started in music?
So I grew up in church, actually, and my first inspiration was actually the worship team at my church. They had that old school, real gospel centered kind of worship, and people were jumping and dancing and clapping, and I saw that there was something different about the effect that that upbeat kind of worship music had, that it can just it could make people happy and it could give them joy. And just every Sunday morning I experienced that. And I think that was something that really influenced me from an early age. And so from then on, it just kind of stuck with me. I really got into, bands like DC Talk with Toby Mac and, Family Force 5, the people that were bringing that more upbeat style of stuff that made you just feel that joy. It was like this contagious joy that you would get from listening to the music. Even bands like going back to like Audio Adrenaline and stuff like that. So, it kind of just really stuck with me throughout my life. And finally, mid high school years, I got into wanting to do Christian hip hop. And so that's where I started, was in the hip hop lane. And I just kind of worked that until God told me, all right, now it's time to shift and do this style of music and do this, this more worshipful kind of music that I'm doing right now. And so, it really was a lifelong journey and process and transformation where the music grew as I grew, in my heart and in my maturity as a Christian and as a man and all of that.
So what's your writing process?
I love to get in with somebody, and I'll get with a producer, or I'll find even just an instrumental somewhere where I can find one. And I love to just turn the volume up, and like I'll literally just dance around. Like I'll walk around the room, and I'll kind of bob back and forth, or just kind of get into the vibe a little bit. And I love to just kind of be moved by that music, and just kind of create an environment where it's like, all right, cool, let's let ideas flow. Obviously, the other thing too, the huge thing is, praying before we get into the write and asking God, hey God, whatever comes out today, just speak it through us and sing it through us as we write this. Give us the message that you want us to say. And so, it really is just a feel it in the moment kind of thing. And another thing that really benefits that is having great relationships with the people that I'm writing with too. You're friends with these people that you're walking into the room with. And so when the chemistry is great, the songs come out great. And everybody knows, the word of God goes first in these songs. And so it's just really good to be writing with talented people who are also on the same page of where you want to go with your mission.
Wow. Yeah, because my next question was about your energy on stage, but it sounds like your energy starts at the writing process. So tell us about that energy and where it comes from.
It does. You're right. It starts in the writing process. And really, there's no other way that I could say it other than it's just the energy comes from passion. God has allowed me to just stay excited about this. And that's, I know that it's a call from God, because I just continue to get excited, and I continue to, every time I perform a song, it's like I'm performing it for the first time. Every time that, I write a song, it's like I'm writing my first song. It's just, there's something about this excitement. And, and I've seen that too in some of the more experienced songwriters and the more experienced performers. You can point out, like, these guys are just so passionate about that. And there's actually, specifically, I saw this so good in Tony Wood, who I wrote Step Into My Story with. Man, I've written with him so many times after, and every time I write with him, it's just like, it's like he's writing his first song. Like, as far as like his excitement and his energy, like, he just walks into the room so pumped up to do that. And I'm like, that's awesome. That's something that I look up to. And so, from the writing room to the energy on stage, it's that same thing where just the excitement is like, man, this is what I prayed for. It's like I'm doing this for the first time. It's so awesome.
That is awesome. Now, you mentioned about stage. I want to know about center stage. People have been talking up your new single.
Yes. So center stage, actually, I had just mentioned Tony Wood. Center Stage was a song that I wrote with Tony Wood and with Kyle Williams, both great people that I'm just honored to be working with there. So Center Stage is a song that is based off of Matthew 5:16, and that whole message there, specifically the part where it says, "You are the light of the world, like a city on a hilltop that can't be hidden." So in the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they see your good work and glorify your Father in heaven. So that's what we based Center Stage off of. And the message there is that we are called to preach the gospel, but we can't only preach the gospel, we also need to live the gospel, because whether we realize it or not, people are looking at us, watching the way that we live our lives. And the way that we live our lives can be a living testimony to the goodness of God. And so we have this incredible ability to, show that light that God has given us. We have an incredible opportunity to reflect that light out onto the world and inspire them and encourage them and preach to them by the way that we live. And so Center Stage is a reminder that our life is not about us, but it's actually about being examples of who God has been in our life and what God can do through us. And so Center Stage is a song saying, Jesus, I don't want to be the center of attention. I need you to take center stage.
Tell us about when Jesus stepped into your story.
Man, so it was a process. It was a process, So it's interesting because I grew up in church, and I think part of the good thing about growing up in church is that you get to see all of the incredible things about church, and you get to see God move, and you get to see God work one of the dangers to growing up in church is becoming, desensitized to church, I think, because you have it all the time. You see the behind the scenes, you don't only see the awesome things that God does, you see kind of the mess of the people behind the scenes, and you become part of that mess. And so for me, when Jesus stepped into my story, it was at a time where I really needed that refreshing in my life of I myself was starting to make, just not the best decisions. I was starting to put myself first. I had really become desensitized to church and to listening to the Spirit and all of that. And it was this moment that I had with God where I was like, God, I need something else. I need to break away from this mentality. I need to break away from this pride that's kind of come over me. I need to just get away from all of this. And it was in that moment where, I did ask you, guide my life. And, before anything else, I want to put you first, because I'm realizing, I'm starting to kind of going back to center stage. There was a time in my life where I was starting to not live the way that I would preach. And so it was this wake up call of all right, I need something to change. And that's only going to change if I get God back into my story and, remember what church and what Jesus and what prayer and what worship is really all about.
Well, it has been a pleasure having Sean B. as a guest. Sean, thank you for joining us. Before we let you go, we want you to tell us your social media, your websites, all that good stuff for you and Winter Jam.
Yeah, so website is SeanBmusic.com, and social medias, they're all Sean B. Official. Sean is SEAN, B is BE, and then official is just the regular word. So definitely, reach out to me on those different platforms. Message me if you heard the show today, and I always message back. So I'd love to talk with you, have some conversation if you have more questions. But I look forward to hearing from you.
That is awesome. We're looking forward to you coming to town in Cincinnati, Ohio on Friday, January 20th at Heritage Bank Center. And then, of course, in Columbus, Ohio on Saturday, January 28th at Schottenstein Center. So we look forward to it. Hopefully our listeners will be turning out in drones and be able to experience your music live.
I can't wait. I hope to meet all of them.
Thank you for tuning in to this Stream House. Please tune in again next week.